What's in there?
The whole suspension.
Oh, shoot.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be back to work on our 1966 Ford Mustang. As you guys seen in the previous video, we pretty much have everything lined up on the car. All the body panels are on, everything is lined up. We also went ahead and test fitted the rear glass and everything fit up awesome. But while we were working on the car, we actually did get a huge care package. So here we have a huge care package from LeeCparts. If you guys don't know about LeeCparts, they have a lot of parts in stock, over 10,000 parts for Camaros, Corvettes, Mustangs. They also have a lot of Subarus. So if you're ever looking for some parts, go ahead and check them out. They also have a YouTube channel, which I will be linking down below. I'll link their Instagram, their website, and their YouTube channel. So if you want to check out what they're doing, they do some pretty cool stuff on there. And they pretty much hooked us up with all these nice parts. Here's actually the steering rack, and we have, I think, a subframe in here, and then all the steering knuckles and everything in the other boxes. Go ahead and unbox all this stuff and we'll see exactly what we got. So here's all the parts we have. We have the entire rear suspension setup, the knuckle, and both control arms, and we also have the rear axle. I'm still not sure what we're gonna do with the rear axle just yet, but we pretty much have both rear suspensions, and we do also have the front suspensions. Check this out. That is freaking awesome. And now we're not gonna have a big old strut shining through the freaking firewall. Now that's freaking beautiful. And then back here we do have our rear subframe, which is so much smaller than our other subframe if you just look at it from a good perspective, if you know what I'm saying. And then we have our leaf springs, which I think we're not going to use the leaf springs actually. I've seen a kit that actually replaces the leaf springs with coilovers, which is going to be a lot better, so you can actually adjust the height as low as you possibly want. We also have the calipers right here. These things are pretty massive. I mean, they can stop a Corvette, and I think this Mustang will probably weigh almost just as much as the Corvette. We're going to do a lot of weight savings and stuff. And then here are the struts. So I'm thinking the coilover kit actually just replaces the strut and turns it into the actual coilover, which is going to be nice. So once we go to lower it, and it'll be pretty simple. And the cool thing is about LeeCparts, they gave us most of the bolts, like on the subframe and like on everything. All the bolts are pretty much just screwed in, which a lot of junkyards don't really do that. They just grab the bolts and they just launch them somewhere, which is cool that we have all the bolts right here, and then we have all the bolts actually on the subframe right there, so we'll be able to bolt the suspension all together. So once again, I want to give a big shout out to the LeeCparts. Make sure you guys follow them on Instagram and their YouTube channel, Scrap Life Garage, because they hooked us up with all these parts, and honestly, it's going to make this build go a lot smoother and a lot better. And also, it's going to be pretty sick because we're going to have dual wishbone suspensions on all four corners of a 1966 Mustang. The first thing we're actually going to do is go ahead and take all these parts outside and give them a nice wash, because they're all super greasy. There's a lot of grime on them, and we don't really want that. So let's go ahead and get all these parts outside. We'll spray them down, give them a nice pressure wash, and then we'll bring them back in here, and we'll probably go ahead and start setting it up and see exactly how we're going to start building this car. that turned out awesome. It looks brand new.
Man, look at that.
Now it just needs a fresh coat of powder coat and it'll be fresh. So we got all these parts nice and washed down. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff still on these control arms, but we'll leave that for later. Now that we got all the grease off, we're gonna let all this dry off and then we're gonna start test fitting everything on the Mustang. So now that all the parts are nice and dried off, we went ahead and put them inside and check it out. They pretty much look brand new. We will be getting them powder coated later, but now what we need to do is go ahead. I wanna add another brace, because as you guys know, we got all the gaps right on the car. Everything is lined up exactly how it should be. And now what we need to do is we're gonna be moving it off these little stands right here. We're gonna be actually moving it up. And what I wanna do now is actually add another brace going sideways so the car can't move back and forth. And then we'll probably add another one up top and then cut the welds off of here and lift the body up so we can pretty much start on mocking up the new suspension for the car. So now we're gonna go ahead and weld the X brace in so the Mustang doesn't move around. X brace welded in right here. Now what we need to do is actually grind off that little spot right there, and pretty much we're going to grab this body and lift it up like I think around a foot, just so we can start working on getting that subframe lined up. So we did go ahead and lift the car up a little bit higher because we did actually have to remove these out of here because this is where our frame rails are going to go in. And now pretty much what we're going to start doing is start lining up our subframe setups. We got a lot more of these bars right here, which we can cut and weld and get these subframes in the perfect spot. We got to set up the wheelbase, and once we get all the wheelbase set up, and then we can start building the actual frame. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and start working on getting this front suspension on the car. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, this is the front suspension right here, front subframe. The rear one's actually pretty small, so let's go ahead and get the subframe over there and all the suspension arms. So we pretty much just set the subframe up right here, and now we're just trying to see exactly how everything is lining up and exactly how we're gonna start building the actual frame. And we did do a little bit of calculations on the dimensions. The Corvette is gonna be 71 inches wide in the front, and the Mustang's actually 68. So I'm thinking we're gonna do 2-inch wide body flares on both sides. I was kind of thinking of maybe cut the subframe down the center and make it a little bit more narrow, but honestly I think the wide body flares are gonna look really cool. And I do have some pretty sick ones that I wanna use. I'll show you guys that a bit later. Now what we need to do is go ahead and set up the rear subframe in the back and get it in the perfect situation, so then we can go ahead and start working out the wheelbase. The wheelbase of this Mustang is 108 inches, so what I want to do is basically grab the rear subframe, put the control arms on, line everything up in the back. I do want to go ahead and start working on the rear, getting the rear subframe lined up over there. Pretty much just how we do it in the front, but I want to take off the axle and probably the brake calipers. Here's the rear suspension setups, and what I want to do right now is pretty much just get this rotor off right here, the brakes and this axle, because that's like 30 pounds of just dead weight, and it's just going to be a lot harder to line everything up. So let's go ahead and get everything off these suspensions. we got everything off the suspension, now we can go ahead and grab the subframe and put it under there and start lining everything up in the back. The rear subframe in the back, we went ahead and bolted on all the control arms, got everything bolted up nicely. Now this is where the hard part is going to come in. Now what we need to do is start basically lining these bad boys up perfectly, exactly how we need them and exactly in the center of the car, and then we'll start working out the wheelbase. I really wish that we would have got the little Corvette actual, there's like a frame rail that goes there and it has the control arm brackets, but instead we're going to have to go ahead and build them. And they do actually sell like conversion adapters. They go on there, but they're like $1,500 for one. So it really wasn't too worth it. And I'm thinking we're probably gonna use like a tube thing and then make the brackets come off of it. So now we'll have pretty much all the subframes put together. Now what we need to do is start working on a way to mount this thing in the air so we can get pretty much all the levels and all the heights and all the wheelbases correct. Guys, we went ahead and built this little platform right here because we are going to be putting the subframe and all the stuff on here, and we are going to be lowering the motor here soon onto the subframe. So I went ahead and welded up this little extension plate right here, and I didn't go with it like this because it will be nice where all the rims and tires go right here, so we have like a little cutout. Now pretty much what we need to do is go ahead and start lining the subframe up exactly the position that we want it. And I think it just needs to be a little bit higher than the actual bottom of this car. We did do a lot of researching on Corvettes, and let's get to it. So check it out, guys, we finally got the subframe mounted in the correct place. And well, it's not in the correct place yet, it's in the correct height. And pretty much all we did was we leveled everything off and made the bottom of the subframe perfectly level with the floor of the car. And that's exactly how it needs to be. And then when we do go ahead and do the back, we'll go ahead and line up the wheelbases so we can go ahead and slide it back and forth and pretty much just grab a clamp and clamp it down right there. But man, guys, it's coming along pretty good. So this is definitely a slower process than last time, but I really want to make sure everything gets leveled out perfectly so we pretty much have everything ready to go on the car. Now that we have the subframe in the front, we're pretty much gonna have to get some new frame rails. We're gonna probably have to go to the steel store and get frame rails, and then once we do that, we can build onto this subframe. I'm still not too sure how we're gonna do it over here, and I think we might actually have to do tubes because the Corvette engine uses a LS. I think it's like a LS, some kind of type of LS, and it's a lot narrower, and the Coyote is a lot wider, so we might actually have to do like some tubes right here, do some chromoly tubes going down into a frame rail and then connecting to the body down there. So guys, that's gonna be a wrap for today's video, and a big shout out to LeeCparts. So just remember, if you're looking for any engine swaps, suspensions for American muscle cars, they have a lot of Japanese cars. Also, make sure you hit up LeeCparts on Instagram and their website down below. So guys, stay tuned for the next episode. We definitely will go ahead and start building the frame for this car, and one of our neighbors actually says he has a Mustang. Do need a couple of parts from it, like the tail light pockets over there, so we'll probably go ahead and go check that out and see what a stock Mustang looks like. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, follow us on Instagram at vTuned, and check out vTuned.com for some merch. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.